Hey guys, it's me Ash, and today I wanted to bring you one of my favorite decks for one of my new favorite formats, Canadian Highlander. So I've been playing Canadian Highlander for a few months now, and I can easily say it's in second place, if not tied for first place with Modern as my favorite constructed format. Let me explain the format a little bit for anyone who hasn't played before. So first off, it's a 1v1 20 life competitive format just like Standard, Modern, or Legacy. A lot of people compare it to Commander, which is simply not a good comparison. Imagine if you could play with cards out of a cube, but constructed. That's what this is like. So second, your library is a 100 card singleton, or more. It can have more. So obviously you can have multiples of basic lands, or like Relentless Rats, or Shadowborn Apostle, things that say you can have more than one. Besides that, you can only have one copy though. Another thing to note is there are no sideboards. Third, Canadian Highlander uses the vintage ban list, so no silver border cards and no Shahrazad. Besides that, the anti cards. There is no ban list essentially. However, as a way to monitor the format, there exists a points list. So not all cards are pointed, only a total of 45 right now are. And in your deck you can have up to 10 points per 100 cards. So a deck with 200 cards gets 20 points. But a deck with 199 cards only gets 10. But most people only play with 100 cards, so 10 points. Finally, there are special mulligan rules. Essentially, it goes 7, 6, 6, 5, 5, 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1. So essentially, you get 2 of every mulligan besides 7. So they tend to refer to it as the second 6 because, you get your first 6 and you get your second 6. And 2 5s, 2 4s, so on. And that's basically it. You still scry after you keep though, just like any other format. So it's a lot of fun. You guys should totally give the format a try. And I will go ahead and move on to the deck tech. So I think I should preface this by saying that I've never been a great deck builder. I just put cards I like into a pile and hope they work out. The numbers on this deck could probably use some refining based on your meta. Had a lot of fun playing it so far. Seems to work out okay. So this is an Esper Control list. That being said, let's start with the counterspells. So the counterspells I run are Negate, Counterspell, Mental Misstep, Countersquall, Daze, Condescend, Mana Leak, Dispel, Force of Will, Cryptic Command, and Spell Snare. Now I know that doesn't seem like enough counterspells, it's only 11, but there's a lot of card draw and a lot of ways to dig kind of deep into the deck, so you're gonna tend to be able to hit the counterspells you need. Next, we've got the Hand Attack Suite. To start us off, we've got Thoughtseize, Inquisition of Kozilek, which are pretty much the biggest ones you see in Modern. Following that, we've got Collective Brutality, which also sees a lot of play in Modern. We've got Hymn to Torak and Duress, which are pretty good. I think Hymn to Torak, you can't run it in every deck because the double black isn't always the easiest thing to hit, but for the decks that can do it, it's really, really worth it. We've also got Mind Twist as one of our pointed cards, and Esper Charm. Esper Charm can double as a card draw spell when you need it to be, but I tend to use it. I kind of like to get rid of my opponent's hand whenever possible. That may not be the correct play usually, but, Alright, now for some removal. As far as creature removal goes, we've got Path to Exile, Swords to Plowshares, Fatal Push, Doomblade, Go for the Throat, and Hostage Taker. Hostage Taker obviously can also double as a win condition sometimes, and you can take the creature away from them, but sometimes you just got to get rid of something for a minute. We've also got Council's Judgment and Vindicate, which can get rid of any type of problematic permanent, besides Council's Judgment cannot hit lands. As far as sweepers, we've got Wrath of God, Settle the Wreckage, Toxic Deluge, and Supreme Verdict. So, in Control, after 1-for-1ing so many times with all the other cards I've mentioned so far, besides a couple of the discard spells, we've got to find some way to pull ahead in cards. So here now are the ways in this deck to pull ahead on cards. Ancestral Vision, Search for Azcanta, Factor Fiction, Dig Through Time, Painful Truths, Treasure Cruise, Jace Fringe Prodigy, Snapcaster Mage, and Torrential Gearhulk, as well as Phyrexian Arena. And my personal favorite is Sphinx's Revelation. It might not always be the best, but it's a lot of fun. Okay, so we've been controlling the game for a while now. 1-for-1ing kind of depleted our opponent's resources. Now, how do we actually win the game? Dragonlord Ochitai, he's sometimes just a hassle to deal with. Also becomes much more difficult to kill once you've got your Minamo School of Water's Edge on the battlefield. Tastiger the Golden Fang is sometimes just a really fast blocker, but also in the late game it can generate a lot of advantage for you. Elspeth, Sun's Champion, and Gideon, Ally of Zendikar are just really good ways to gum up the board with tokens, make it hard for your opponents to get through, and then eventually just overwhelm them. Kalitas, Trader of Get, is a good way to keep yourself alive on his own. He is tough to deal with at 4 toughness, and the lifelink is definitely a mark in its favor. Another trick you can do with Kalitas is play him before you wrath the board, and it makes your opponent's creatures turn into 2/2s for you. Thing in the Ice and Curious Homunculus are really powerful 2-drops. Myth Realized is not the best turn 1 play the deck has, but in certain matchups it's really what you want to be doing. It's also a pretty good mana sink when you're holding up counter magic and don't end up having to counter anything. Just being able to put a couple more counters on this over the course of a few turns can make it into a really big threat really quickly. Ashiok Nightmare Weaver is a really good way just to pull cards out of your opponent's deck. When you're in a singleton format, getting rid of a card once means getting rid of it forever. And my personal favorite win condition is Jace the Mind Sculptor. It might be more flashy than anything else, but hey, it's a lot of fun to go turn 2 Jace off a Soul Ring. Okay, next we've got a couple of cantrips. We've got Brainstorm, Serum Visions, Ponder, and Preordain. I have a couple of tutors here I play Trinket Mage, and we'll get to why I play Trinket Mage in a moment. We also run Mystical Teachings as a good way to get really whatever we need to deal with at the time. Demonic Tutor is just a 2-mana answer something, or 2-mana grab a win condition. It can just do whatever you need it to do. It's also another one of our pointed cards. We have a couple of noteworthy lands as well. We have Wasteland as a good way to deal with any problematic land. We also run Ghost Quarter, but Wasteland is just more fun. Our other noteworthy land is we play a Throne of the High City, and this card is just a very low opportunity cost, it being a land. The advantage it provides in certain matchups is just astounding. In like a slow combo deck or any sort of control mirror, it's just one-sided Howling Vine, which can just overwhelm your opponent in card advantage really quickly. So we've also got a couple of cards that didn't really fall into another category, but I'll go ahead and show those here. We've got Sensei's Divining Top and Soul Ring as the targets of Trinket Mage. Sensei's Top is the preferred one generally, but if I already have it or I really need to ramp for some reason, I can also just grab the Soul Ring. We've also got a Chromatic Lantern, which kind of ramps a little bit, but really it's just there to help all the... I have a lot of 3-colored mana or 2-colored mana in the cost of spells, and it's just a good way to help me be able to hit those easier. Finally, I've got a copy of Dominate, and looking back, this probably could have gone in the removal section. It didn't really seem quite like removal, so I just kind of put it here. It's just a good way to grab their Tarmogoyf and start beating them with it or something. It's always just something they're not expecting. So let's talk about my point spread in this deck real quick. I've already mentioned all the pieces, but I'm going to go ahead and bring them up here anyway and let you know how much they cost. We have Demonic Tutor at 4 points, Soul Ring at 3 points, so that's a total of 7 there. Then we have Dig Through Time, Treasure Cruise, and Mind Twist, each cost 1. We used to have Merchant Scroll. It could get Sphinx's Revelation, or it could sometimes get Cryptic Command if needed, but it was always just kind of awkward to cast. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys play the format a little bit. Let me know any sweet decks you guys come up with. And also let me know if you'd be interested in any more Canadian Highlander content. Well, that's all for me. Talk to you next time.